Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a tutorial because I haven't done one in a while, partially because I'm dealing with some dryness on my eyelids right now, and so eyeshadow doesn't look very good when you have dry, cracked eyelids. But I want to do one for you anyway because I want to discuss something. I want to discuss the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. This actually came out the first time like last March, and everybody wanted it and they sold out because it was limited edition and I couldn't find it anywhere. I went to Sephora's, I went to Ulta's, I looked online, I tried calling. Nobody had it, it sold out, it was gone, and I was so sad. So sad. And then sometime during the summer, Too Faced announced that they were going to be bringing it back so that if you didn't get one and you wanted one, you would have an opportunity to get it. So I actually waited in the online queue for like 3.5 hours to try and get this. I got it. Here it is. I've been playing with it for a couple of weeks and I have some opinions about it. So I want to share some of those with you. We're going to try out a look. I'm gonna do something that's, I think, fairly wearable for a lot of people. It's not gonna be dark purple and black, and I think it's gonna be pretty wearable. We'll see though, because sometimes I go a little bit overboard. If you haven't seen it, this is what the palette looks like. It looks really, really pretty. It smells like fake peaches, but it smells like peaches. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do today, and I will let you know more about my feelings on this palette as we get going. Okay, so I have a couple of new products for us to try out today. The first one is the Smashbox Photo Ready Primer. I had a sample of this primer years ago, and I fell in love with it. I love this primer so much because it comes out kind of like a gel. And when you put it on, it feels so smooth, almost like baby powder. Kind of like it's really similar to the e.l.f. mineral infused primer that I use all the time. It has the same type of look to it. It feels the same on the skin. This one is a lot pricier, obviously. So if you're not trying to spend that much, I think the e.l.f. one is a good option. People also really seem to like the Maybelline Baby Lips as a dupe for this. So if you don't want to buy the Photo Finish Primer by Smashbox, try out the Baby Lips one. I haven't tried it yet. Once I get my next paycheck, I am gonna try it out, but I've been loving this and it's a good investment. So we have a new foundation today, which I'm really excited about. Wet n Wild has recently launched their new 2017 line, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. This is in the shade Soft Beige, and it comes with like a paddle. And the way, I haven't used this, I've only used this shade once, and I actually used it earlier today for the makeup that I was just wearing before I decided to film a video, and I've really liked it so far. The first shade that I tried was way too dark. They don't have a ton of shades. I think they have more on their website than they have like at Walgreens and stuff like that, so I would check their website if you're worried about shade selection, because I really only saw like 5 shades that looked kind of like this with different undertones. But this Wet n Wild line, everybody has been raving about it. It's selling out everywhere. I haven't even been able to get my hands on the highlighter that I really want. I do have a couple of Wet n Wild foundations, and this is honestly my favorite of them so far. Look at how bad that looks. But it does have kind of a smell to it, almost like paint. I don't notice it on my face once I have applied it and it's dried, but if you open up the bottle and you take a big whiff, it's gonna smell like paint, but it doesn't dry too quickly. I don't feel like it gets cakey or clumpy or anything like that. This is still a little bit off from my shade, but once I add concealer and stuff like that, we're not really gonna notice. Okay, so that's all applied. It is pretty good coverage. I would call it medium to full coverage. I wouldn't want to try to build this up anymore though, because I would be worried about it getting cakey at that point. I don't think the bottle says anything about the finish this is supposed to be. It just says that it eliminates white particle reflection in photos so that when you take a photo it won't flash back, but it doesn't say anything about the finish. I would say that this is a fairly matte finish. There's not a ton of shine on my face. There is a little bit, but I would call this more matte than natural, and it's definitely not dewy. For concealer, I'm going in with everybody else's current obsession, which is the Tarte Shape Tape. Mine is in the shade Light, and it is really light, but especially with a foundation that's a little bit dark for me, I don't have a problem with that. And I just blend it out, and I think that it makes my under eyes really bright. If I were to repurchase this product in the future, and I probably will, I'll go a shade darker just because it probably won't be winter, and so I'll want a shade darker, but I realize that it's really light and like that looks kind of crazy. But once I blend it out and we got powder on it and we do everything else, it won't look crazy. You don't need to set it, it's not too sticky. It's really full coverage, as you can see. Don't complain to me that my beauty blender is dirty either. I used it this morning. I know people like to complain when beauty gurus don't wash out their brushes and stuff before they film, but like, I don't always have time for that, so I used this earlier today. For the rest of my face with concealer, I don't usually like to use the Shape Tape just because it's really full coverage and it's really light. So I'm going to use Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Fair, just like always, for the rest of my face. So happy that this acne on my chin is finally giving up. If you go to the drugstore, a lot of the brands have relaunched for 2017 and a ton of them have new concealers, which I think is great because I think the drugstore has been lacking in concealers, especially because like I didn't even really know about concealer and I used to just exclusively shop at drugstores. But there are a lot of options. Milani just recently came out with some new concealers. There's only like 6 shades or 4 shades or something, but they did come out with them. Unfortunately, I left my brush that I normally use for powder at my boyfriend's house, and so I'm going to use the one I normally use under my eye just to set the Maybelline Fit Me concealer because it is sticky. Oh, and I'm using my NYC translucent smooth skin powder. For contour today, I'm using my Model Co. I don't know if this ever even had a shade on it, but the writing on it is rubbing off, but I don't know if it ever had a shade on it, but that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to start blending it with a beauty blender just like I always do, and then go back over it with a brush if I feel like I need to. That is dark, but I always feel like it blends out really well. That's the great thing about a beauty blender too, is like if you're unhappy with the blending, just go in and blend some more. How proud of me are you guys? I remembered to bring a mirror. I didn't have to like go searching for one. I just remembered to bring it this time. I think we're getting the hang of this. I'm trying to kind of rush through this part because the part I really want to talk about is the Too Faced palette. So if you're wondering why this is pretty quick, it's just because of that. I do want to spend more time talking about the palette, but I don't want to spend 10 years making this video and boring you to death. I'm going to move on to bronzer, and for bronzer I'm going to use the L'Oreal Glam Bronze in the shade Light. This one doesn't look like it has glitter in it at all, which is nice. I also just love how much bronzer you get. Like this is an enormous pan compared to the palm of my hand. Like this is huge. And I got it on sale, so it's like a double win for me. Okay, so I'm really happy with the way that that turned out. So let's go ahead and blush. I'm gonna use this Buxom blush in the shade Intoxicate. I've used this product, I think, like once or twice before on my channel. Some of these are new, some of these you see me use all the time, and then some of them are products that I actually got in like Ipsy or BoxyCharm things, because I kind of want to like update you on those things, because when I'm trying them on or just showing them to you out of the package, you don't really get a sense of like how I feel for it or how much I'm gonna use it or if I really like it. And I know gurus are always saying like, I'm gonna update you, I'm gonna let you guys know what I think of this, and then it just like never really happens, which I understand. I just want to make sure that if I say something like, oh, I'm gonna let you know how I feel about this, or like other things that I get in Ipsy bags, that like I actually update you at some point. So I think I'm gonna do a whole video where like I update you on things that I've gotten in Ipsy and BoxyCharms, because I have another thing in this video that I got in a BoxyCharm. So keep an eye out for that video for like an update on all of those products that I said I'd update you on. Okay, so this is new to me. This is the KathleenLights and Makeup Geek highlighter palette. This is not new, but it is new to me. I got it because it was 40% off on their website. Actually, my boyfriend bought it for me, so go him. This is what it looks like. There are 3 shades. I know that they look really dark, like those look like they just wouldn't even work, but they're a lot darker in the pan than they are on your face. So I'm gonna take a mixture of Nightlight and Starlight and put that on my cheeks. I've only used this a couple of times, and the first time I used it, I think I just went on a little too hard and it ended up looking like just a stripe on my face. So I'm gonna just be a little bit more gentle today. I'm just really hardly touching my face with this brush. In terms of glitter, like there is glitter. If you're worried about texture on your face showing when you use highlight, you might not love this because it's pretty shiny, as you can see. Okay, so I'm just going into Starlight now with the same brush. Well, that makes it like almost silvery pink. If you're into a natural highlight, I don't know if you're gonna get it in this. Oh my god, girl. Look at that. I'm living for this, honestly. Okay, we have arrived at the eyes, so I'm just gonna take my Urban Decay Primer Potion like I always do. Just put a little of it because my eyelids are pretty dry. Okay, so we have arrived. I'm gonna take White Peach and I'm just gonna use that to set this down. With an eyelid primer like this, I do feel like I need to set it because it is really sticky, and setting it with white is just gonna make blending easier later. Okay, so like I said, we are gonna do something pretty simple and pretty wearable with this palette. As you can see, there are some colors in here. This is black, these are purple, this is green, like a dark burnt color that are pretty intense. I'm not really gonna use a lot of them because I don't think that they're that great. So I'm gonna start with Georgia, which is this light pink shade right here, and I'm gonna start with that in my crease. I just don't think that the dark colors in this palette are very good, which is a shame because I wanted this palette so bad. And I really like the chocolate bar, but I think that the quality of this palette in comparison to the chocolate bar is just lacking. So it launched in March and then they were sold out. And they didn't come back until December. It's permanent if you want to get it. It's not sold out. They have highlighters and blushes and oils for your lips and all sorts of stuff. It's permanent if you want to get it, so don't worry about not getting it if you want it. This palette was $49. I just expected a little bit more, and maybe that's my fault. Maybe it's because I had been building it up and I had wanted it for so long. I just kept trying to get these purples and blacks to work, and this green shade, which looks really pretty in the pan, but it's not showing up green on my eyes. I tried wetting it, I tried different brushes, I tried different primers, I tried putting it different places on my eyes. I tried a lot of things and it's just not turning out how I want it to. I'm gonna darken that a little bit using Puree, using the same brush. Weird to me as well is that the purples in the chocolate bar palette aren't that good either. And so I went on like a rant one night. I was like, I want these to be purple because I don't have any good purple shades, and I was just so upset. And then I recently bought a palette that has purple in it, and I was like, if this purple works better than those Too Faced purples, because purples are generally hard to do for eyeshadow anyway. Purples can be difficult. I was like, if these purples are amazing, bye-bye Too Faced, and those purples are amazing. So I'm gonna do a tutorial with that palette soon. It's the Urban Decay Full Spectrum palette. I'm gonna take Cobbler and I'm gonna apply it to the outer corner of my eyes and a little bit in the crease. And I mean, I don't know. It's disappointing because this is so cute. But also this, like the actual packaging feels cheaper than the chocolate bar. Like it feels thinner, it's not as nice. It does have like a magnetic clasp just like the chocolate bar, but it's just, it doesn't feel the same. And then the last thing I'm gonna do on the rest of my lid is take Luscious, which is a really, really pretty color. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna wet it and I'm gonna apply that to my lid. Luscious is probably the best shadow in the palette. Taking a little bit more Cobbler and just patting it on. So yeah, I think that Luscious is really pretty and I wish that they could all be like Luscious, but on the lower lash line, I'm basically gonna do the same thing I did on the top. I'm gonna do Georgia, Puree, then a little bit of Cobbler. And I've been not loving the way pencil brushes have been working under my eyes, so I'm just using an angled shadow brush. Plus it smokes it out a little bit better, I think. And I'm just focusing Cobbler on the outer corner because that's what we did on the top lid as well. To highlight the inner corner, I'm going to take a mixture of Nectar and Peaches and Cream. A little more Nectar than Peaches and Cream. To finish the eyes, I'm going to take this IBY Beauty. This is actually a lip liner in the shade Cocoa, but I've only been using it for my eyes. I'm going to take that on my top lash line, my bottom waterline, and then I'm going to finish it with my two-step mascara application. e.l.f. first, then Too Faced Better Than Sex. And I'm using brown instead of black just because I feel like it matches the entire look a little bit better. If I were using black, I think it would just be too dark. And since these are brown and gold and very, you know, light, black I think would just be too intense. I almost forgot to highlight my brow bone, so I'm gonna use White Peach for that. Okay, so you know the drill. I'm gonna do this eye off camera and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished the other eye. I love Luscious. Luscious almost has like a foiled finish to it. I love that eyeshadow. I love the shadows that I did use in this palette. I think that lots of different people could wear this look. It's not too, you know, in your face. I want to love this more than I do. And like, if you look at these purple shades, like, doesn't that just look like it would be just a beautiful, deep, sparkly purple color? Like, that's like a black that doesn't swatch very well. And there is glitter in there, but I just think the pigmentation isn't good. For lips, I want to keep with the sort of wearable theme, so I'm going to be using a Butter London Lippy Gloss in the shade Hot Toddy. It comes with a brush that's almost like a nail polish brush. It doesn't have a doe foot applicator, but it's real thick. So I'm just going to apply this. It does have a little bit of pigmentation, but not too much. I just like the glossiness, and I think it pulls the whole look together. Okay, so that completes this look. I think that this is really wearable for a lot of people. It's not too in your face. The highlight is pretty in your face, but the rest of it, the lip color is really subtle. I think the eyes would look great on pretty much everybody. Love that highlight, love the blush. And I've actually, like, I love this foundation. I wore it all day today before I did this video, and I'm really impressed, actually. So that completes this video. Please like this video if you liked this look. Please let me know down below if you have opinions about the peach palette as well, whether it's worked for you, whether it hasn't worked for you, whether you're in on this whole conspiracy about it not being as nice as the chocolate bar or as nice as the first launch. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm looking to do something special for 100 subscribers, so help me get there, get in on that. If you're not subscribed, you're not going to be able to be in on that. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video.